war. And I think, family, that song is first of all very fitting. And it's crazy that he made this song decades ago, right? And it's still relevant. You know what I mean? The words, and that song was based on a speech of Haile Selassie, and he sung, the words to that speech. So anyway, shout out to the Maadi family. I see you in the building, brother Steve. Peace and love to you. I see you, Sister Wisdom 7. I see brother CJ is in the building. I see Assam is in the building. Peace and love to you, brother. I also see Sister Safa is in the building. Brother Bruce Lee is in the building. Peace and love to you, brother Bruce Lee, and salute to you, warrior. So family, right now, take a moment out to thumb up this video. Thumb it up, thumb it up, thumb it up, family. Thumb it up. You know how the YouTube algorithm works. The more you engage a video, the more it begins to circulate, right? And so thumb up the video. And also, family, share this discussion. Okay, sharing is caring. Okay, and we want to each one teach one. And the way we can do that in the 21st century, right, in 2023, is just simply going to our social media pages and sharing. Okay, so if you're on Facebook, post the link. If you're on Twitter, tweet the link. If you're on IG, post the link in your story. Okay, and let's get the word out that Dr. Maat is live, and I'm bringing on, one of my elders, my comrades, my Baba, a scholar, a warrior, an activist, Dr. James McIntosh, family. He's no stranger to this platform. He's been on the platform actually a few times. I've been on his platform a few times. He's been over here. I think maybe this may be his second or third time over here. But the last time he was here, family, he gave a beautiful breakdown on the ADL organization, and the history between ADL and some of our great Black leaders, some of our Black heroes and sheroes, and the tyranny, right, that they caused in their lives, man. And so anyway, he's going to come back, and I thought that he would be perfect to talk about, these narratives that are circulating online regarding the Israel-Hamas war. There was a few Breakfast Club interviews. I know that Marc Lamont Hill, he gave an interview, family. Let me see. Let me bring this up. Let me show you. Hold on. Marc Lamont Hill. Let me stop sharing this. Oh my goodness. Baba, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you well.
All right, because I don't see anything. It's like I'm frozen. Okay, here it is, Baba. Look, welcome to the show, Baba. Peace and love to you, Baba.
Same to you, my sister.
Look, Baba, look, I was telling the people that I think like you're more than qualified to have this discussion, right? Because you've been studying ADL for a long time. And just recently, the Breakfast Club had 2 interviews. They brought on Marc Lamont Hill to talk about, well, the title of it says he speaks on the Israel-Hamas war, international law, and history. But they also, family, they brought on, and let me just do a entire screen, right? So they brought on Marc Lamont Hill, all right, to talk about this Israel-Hamas war. Then they also brought on Jonathan Greenblatt. Here he is, Jonathan Greenblatt, and he is the CEO, family, of ADL. He is the CEO of ADL, and that is the Anti-Defamation League. And so Dr. James McIntosh, he came on some months ago and did a beautiful breakdown on who the ADL are and then the history between us and the ADL. So family, if you did not see that interview, go to YouTube. And a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to head on over to YouTube, and I'm going to type it in. And I'm going to drop the link in the chat. Here it is, family. Here it is. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. Make sure that you click on it. Hold on. Here we go. Make sure that you click on it and get this good history, this good information, okay? I believe that this will help you out and provide a lot of context for what we're going to talk about today. So I just dropped the link in the chat. So make sure, family, that you click on it and save it and go back to it when you get the opportunity. All right. And so anyway, Doc, first of all, I want to welcome you to the show and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today and to be with us today. And so, Doc, let me ask you a question. Let's start here, right? Let's start here. Everyone is talking about this Israel Hamas war. Some people are pro-Israel. Some people are pro-Hamas. You have folks that are saying, well, if you're pro-Israel, you're supporting racism and white supremacy. Then you have other people who say, well, if you're supporting Hamas, you're supporting terrorism. Okay. What are your thoughts about the war And as far as Black folks are concerned, who should we, if any side, be on a side? Should we be pro-Israel? Should we be pro-Hamas? What are your thoughts on where the position that Black people should take for this Israel-Hamas war, Doc?
I think that Black people should take the position against all settler colonies. We've experienced settler colonies here in the United States with the indigenous people. We've experienced it on the continent, them coming and just basically setting up a country. They'll set up a country and call it Rhodesia, right? And it's really our land, our people, and we know that's wrong. Union of South Africa set up, a country, call it the Union of South Africa. We've experienced it all over the world, and if you know the history of this particular land, this was a place that people lived, and through UN resolutions and through British intervention and various, an entire history of things that took place. Uh, the land was given to some people who then proceeded to not only just take the land, but extrude the people. It was very similar to here. When the United States took this land, they might have had a certain amount of territory at a certain point, but they kept expanding, kept driving the indigenous people out. You had Andrew Jackson making them go to the west, west of the Rockies when they were here on the East Coast. Well, the same kind of thing happened, and I thought that the I don't know why they had the first interview. I don't know. I mean, I guess they probably had to. They had the interview with Greenblatt,
Greenblatt.
but I thought that Marc Lamont Hill, who I wasn't prepared to like at all because of some disrespect he had shown to
Dr. Francis
Dr.
Cress.
Yes, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. But I say he handled himself well. He was knowledgeable on the subject, and he made a number of important points. And so, with respect to your question, he pointed out that Israel has been an apartheid state since 1948. It's been an occupying state since 1967, meaning that after they won a war, they took territory. They went and went in the territories that they had really illegally pushed people to already. They went and took some more of that away from the people. So I thought those were some important points. And I think that the issue of the terrorism, you gave me two choices, and if you gave me two choices,
I like your
right?
response. I love your response, though, Doc. I really
Okay.
do.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'll just say that Lamont Hill pointed out that one man's terrorist, or one person's terrorist, is another person's freedom fighter.
Ashe.
And we have a lot of people here that have been called terrorists that we don't feel are terrorists. I don't feel that Matulu Shakur is a terrorist. I
Not,
don't feel that Jamil Alameen is a terrorist. I don't feel that Assata Shakur is a terrorist. But when people push you to a certain point where you have no options, and I thought that was another good point that Hill made, which he said, look, you got all these laws. People can't boycott, they can't divest, and they can't sanction Israel. I mean, later on, I'll show you a map of the states in the United States where it is illegal to boycott, divest your funds from, or sanction Israel. So you take that away. You don't let the people demonstrate. You tell them they can't even fly their flag in Jerusalem. A person can't even carry a Palestinian flag in Jerusalem. That these things are what are they supposed to do? What are they supposed to do? You can say that, well, we're going to divide the land equally, but the equal is so unequal. You get to check them and search them everywhere they go. You make them have passes like they had in South Africa. So how could I be on the side of Israel under those circumstances, when these are the things that were done to us? These, a lot of people celebrate Juneteenth, but I think a lot of people never read the proclamation to see
come
what,
on.
what it said.
You
I
better
mean, the
teach.
proclamation. Well, I mean, I can't teach in too much detail because I didn't like prepare for that. But what I'll tell you is that it did have certain restrictions on the Africans who they now said were free. Now they couldn't go traveling without like a kind of a permission slip from their employer. And who's their employer? The same people that had them enslaved.
Slaved.
They couldn't
Hmm.
hang around certain spots like on roads. They couldn't they could, they couldn't even, they couldn't do a whole lot of things. It was just like the pass laws in South Africa. So, we've been through that experience. So how could we support anybody who puts other people through that experience? And this particular land that we're talking about was connected to Africa until 1857 with the building of the Suez Canal. So it's really these are these are some a lot of people that are us. They may not recognize that they're us,
Hmm. Hmm.
but that
Hmm.
doesn't mean you can't recognize that they're us. You can't go crazy with it because if the people are treating you wrong. But these people in Palestine, look at them, they're brown. These are
Hmm.
brown people.
Hmm.
And they will connect you. So we know how they got brown. They were, here on the continent of Africa. And some of them have been through the same, slave experience that we've been through. So it's a long answer I'm giving, but I'll
No, no,
say that
no. It's perfect, Doc. It's
I
perfect.
thought that Lamont Hill handled himself well and made a number of different good points. And he said, how can you say? I mean, first of all, everybody is a citizen is not an equal citizen. It's like we had second class citizens here. He said there was 60 different laws that show a difference of how people get treated in Israel on the basis of their, ethnicity and that sort of thing, and religion.
Mm-mm. And Dr. McIntosh, let me ask you this question: what are your thoughts about Black people who say, "I don't care what's going on over there. I'm worried about Black American oppression. I don't have any time or energy, to give to the folks over there. I'm worried about domestic issues." And there are some Black folks who take that position. Then you also have some Black folks who say, "Oh, I didn't forget that the trans-Saharan slave trade. The Arabs were involved in that." And so I'm not going to forget that history. So you do have some Black folks who feel like they don't have a dog in the fight. They're just like, look, I'm worried about our domestic issues. Um, you know, and they keep using Dr. John Henry Clark. Dr. John Henry Clark said, "We don't have any friends. We don't have any friends." So people keep, reciting Dr. John Henry Clark's quote that we don't have any friends. We should be just worried about ourselves. We don't have a dog in the fight. And people are now, you see a lot of videos circulating about the trans-Saharan slave trade. And people are saying, I haven't forgotten that. You all were complicit in the enslavement, of our ancestors. So why would we even come to your defense? So what are your thoughts about Black folks who take that position, Dr. McIntosh?
Like I understand, but I don't agree with it. I Professor Clark was my mentor. I had him for 16 credits in college. Named my youngest son after him and Malefi Asante. So I'm very familiar with Dr. Clark. Had many conversations with him, and you'll find that Dr. Clark signed his name on anti-Zionist ads that would put in the newspapers. He wrote against Zionism. He spoke against it. So I know that although he said we have no friends, and he means he's trying to tell you, don't be a fool. Don't think that anybody's going to come to our rescue. And those people don't think anybody's going to come to their rescue. You have to fight for your own liberation. You have to take care of your own, and that doesn't mean though that you can't have allies. And Professor Clark, in his debate with not Skip, the other Cornell West, he laid out the rules for an alliance or for a coalition. I advise people to look at it so that you can see. You stay with it as long as it's working for you. As long as it's going to meet the goals and stuff that you have. And if it stops serving any needs for you, then you abandon it. But I do think that we it makes sense for us to have allies around the country that are in the same situation or around the world fighting the same enemies because frankly this government is the biggest supporter of Israel, and I thought
Absolutely.
that Hill did a good job with that, excuse me, with laying out several different reasons why it was in your interest. 3.6 billion or more of your tax money goes to Israel directly from the government, and a whole lot of it goes indirectly in other ways. I mean, a lot of these states are doing things. They have special programs for Israel and that sort of thing. And those are your tax dollars also. So, I mean, if you just so flush that you can let 3.6 billion with a B dollars of your budget go towards something that's anti you, then then I feel sorry for you. But I understand what it is that you're saying. So I can understand, but doesn't mean I agree with you.
No, absolutely. No, no, absolutely. Absolutely. So switching gears, I know you spoke about Marc Lamont's interview. What are your thoughts about Jonathan Greenblatt's interview? I feel like he was very one-sided, but that's me. But what were your thoughts when you listened to his perspective on the Israel-Hamas war?
Well, I understand it in a couple of ways. One, this man is paid very handsomely to say those things. When I was here, I showed you the kind of money that the ADL had, but I did show you and speculated, but I didn't have the proof at that point, so I didn't say it, that he was probably getting paid for more than one of those payrolls. So we know that from the ADL payroll alone, he was getting 400 plus $1,000. But
Right.
as it turns out, those other organizations, the ADL Foundation and the ADL, he gets a total, he gets paid $1.2 million a year in order to do this. So Israel could drop a bomb on his next door neighbor, and he probably would say the same things, because the incentive is what drives people, and he's being paid handsomely to do that. He's a part, in a way, of a network of people that are. I mean, that was one of the things that I wondered about when he talked about how this was like the worst month, worst week in his life. He described calls that he got from his staff in Israel. Well,
Mm,
what kind of anti-Semitism do you fight in Israel? You know what I'm trying to say? If you're
mm,
here in the United States, why are you okay? Then he talked about videos that he saw.
mm-hmm,
We
mm-hmm,
haven't seen those videos. The people that I've heard talk about those same videos are people like Netanyahu, this other guy, Benny, whatever his name is, who is the defense minister. And that's what, so this is the top echelons of Israel have seen those videos in the detail that he was talking about. And then later, some press have seen it maybe in the last couple of days, some of the videos that that he says these things occurred. But that means that, I'm wondering how he could have this kind of intimate relationship, fight on behalf of Israel, so on and so forth. Is he a registered foreign agent? Because I know they tried to do that to the brother Yeshiteli from the African Socialist Party. Remember, they
mm.
charged him with being, like an unregistered agent for the Soviet Union. Meaning that he's doing business on behalf of another country without registering, because you have to do that. So, uh, what I thought of his remarks is that obviously they were very, very one-sided. They were very distorted. I don't think I can't see how an intelligent person like him could believe the things that he's saying. He
Yes.
knows he knows how Israel started. He knows the things they've done. He even alluded to it, that everything's not perfect and
He
that
did
sort of
say
thing.
that.
He knows the displacement that they did to people. He knows the people have been killed. And then both he and Hill, I understand Hill don't have an army, so he has to say, he has to, he played a, he had certain disclaimers that he said in there. And I mean, but he did it in a way where clearly you should be able to see through it. He said this was unprecedented. Come on. How could
Mm.
it be unprecedented? The millions of people that have been killed in the Congo. I do have, how I always keep my slides with
Come
me.
on. I
I
love it.
do,
Yeah, please
I
show
do.
it, Baba.
No, I won't do it yet. I'll wait till we have our conversation. But I got slides that'll show you how many Africans have been killed in ethnic wars. Uh, I mean, over the last so many years. We've had, so but for when you heard this man, Greenblatt, he's a total nationalist. You know what I mean? Like for
Oh,
him,
absolutely.
and I mean, I'm not. I mean, like tragedy is tragedy, but how could 1,000 people be the worst thing that ever happened? How could it? He says it's the worst thing that happened since the Holocaust. Come on,
He did
he
say
must
that.
have
He
not
did
heard
say
of the
that.
Congo War. He
Hmm,
must not
hmm.
have heard of the second Congo War. You talking about 2.5 to 5 million people. You're talking about 23% of the people have been victims of sexual assault. I mean, this is crazy. like you just don't, you're talking about, they got organizations for all the women that have been butchered and raped and that sort of thing. And 20% of the men have been exploited. So I mean, these are horrific, when he talked about, he said, what Greenblatt said was that people had been tortured, people had been killed, people had been brutalized, and he said people had been raped. And he said he saw like videos, that of these things. So we've yet, we're going to see those, I guess, in the future. And I can't, if some, those are terrible things. I will say this though, it's not terrorism, it's warfare. These people are fighting wars, and you won't find a war in history in which all of those things don't occur. That's why people who scream that they want war and this sort of thing are crazy. Because
Mm-hmm.
in a war, people get killed, people get raped, people get tortured, people get mutilated, people get wounded. All of those things happen in a war, in all wars. I don't care which war that you're talking about. So I understand. It was hard for me to see. It didn't seem like these people had a whole lot of time, but maybe they had a whole lot of time because, in a raid like a surprise raid like this, to take the time to do some of those things to people seems a little different,
Right.
but
Absolutely.
if, we have an African proverb, if the crocodile says that the fish at the bottom of the lake has one eye, who can say no?
Mm.
I wasn't there. So, but those are terrible things that he described. But at the same time, everything that he described, I can show you in the history of Israel. Everything that he described, you can find it. You can even find it in the Bible.
Come on. I was thinking it. I was thinking it, Doc. I was
you
thinking it.
know, you can even
I,
you can even find it in the Bible. If you read, like, their Torah it shares 5 books with the Old Testament.
come
And if
on.
you look in those Old Testament things that they tell, you know, they're talking about what they did to the Canaanites. And the Canaanites were the original inhabitants of this place. They were there before, before these people were there. And you have their God telling Moses, and Moses telling the people that they're supposed to go in there, kill everything, kill the sheep,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
kill the
Mm-hmm.
men, kill the women, kill, you you would have thought it was that speech that Khalid gave in South Africa, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
uh
Mm-hmm.
okay, and that's in their Bible. So he was saying that Hamas's charter says all of these terrible things to do, says to kill, okay, but their charter, if you look at the Bible, the thing that they, because it's a religious state, if you look at what they tell you to do to other people, these are terrible things. And so my point is that it's war. General George Tecumseh Sherman had 2 quotes that I thought were applicable when you're talking about war. He said the
Mm-hmm.
war is hell. Everybody knows that one. You mean Patton said it again, but and George, Sherman was in the Civil War, but he also said something which, from the standpoint of these commanders, this is what you hear the Israelis screaming for. He said war
Mm-hmm.
is cruel. He said the crueler the better, because the faster, you will be able to like win or get it over with. And right now, this thing they're doing with this bombardment and stuff that they're doing of civilians and stuff, it's not unprecedented. It's not unprecedented for them. It's not unprecedented for anybody. If you take the firebombing of Dresden in World War II, you take the massive bombing that the United States did of North Vietnam during that war. You could take the 6 Day War, in which they
Mm-hmm.
dropped 187,000 tons of ordnance in a 6 day period. You couldn't see the sky; it was black. Uh, they said that babies died at a rate of, I think, 500 a week or more after the war, just from the effects of the war, the things the infrastructure that it knocked out, the deprivations that it caused, that went on for years and years and years. So
Mm-hmm.
wars, yeah, I saw his face. He looked sincere. I'm sure he is sad, but if you go back, you can see, he talked about the fact that he thought it was very terrible that people were celebrating and dancing, all over. But we can go back and show you acts of Israeli terrorism and people dancing and cheering about it. We had the situation of this guy, Baruch Goldberg, who went into a mosque and killed a couple of hundred people, and killed a couple of hundred people. And then you had another rabbi afterward who said that, hey, 1,000 Arabs weren't worth one Jewish fingernail. And then you had
Mm.
them after he did that act of terrorism, they made a shrine to him. I got pictures of people going there. Went there for years, basically celebrating and praising this guy as a freedom fighter because he took a machine gun and went into a mosque and killed up 200 people, 200 worshipers.
Mm.
So
But he
we have
wasn't
to,
labeled. He wasn't labeled a terrorist, right? He wasn't.
I'm sure he was not.
Right. He's a hero to them, right? But go ahead. I'm
You
listening.
you got a mosque they burned, and you
Mhm.
see the people. I got pictures, I got video of them jumping up and down and cheering, saying to kill their memories. You know what I'm trying to say? Destroy. Not only destroy them, destroy their memories. See, uh, that's how it is in a lot of these conflicts. You have people that tell you about the Armenian Holocaust, and the Armenians will tell you about. I mean, the Turks will tell you something that happened before that. So you just go, this happened first, that happened first. At the end of the day, if the people don't make up their mind uh, to another solution, we have big troubles because we're talking about one of these groups is a nuclear power.
Mhm.
Israel is a nuclear power. And the
Mm.
more they seem to be so determined that they're going to hold these people's land, that they're going to suppress them, that they're going to keep them from, being able to even breathe, they're going to try to starve them out and this sort of thing. You know, uh, History has shown that that kind of strategy generally does not work. There are some
Mm.
people who have been wiped from the face of the earth, but in this age of
Mm.
nuclear power and alliances with major, other nuclear powers, you
Right.
really could be on the brink of world war very easily. When we read our history books, we hear how these wars, the murder of Archduke Ferdinand, and all those kinds of things. You
Absolutely.
you get those things in American and world history when you're in school. This is it's a very dangerous time, and it's very dangerous um, way to keep looking at thing in a twisted, distorted type of a way. And that's how Greenblatt seems to. He looks at it as all poor Israel. All we want to do is just live. He doesn't mention that you're in somebody's house. A sister told me the other day that she said it's like you go to somebody's house and you say, I'm taking your house and I'll put you in the outhouse. And then you expect them to be happy because they're in the outhouse and you're in the house. It doesn't work that way. You know, anyway, I could just go on and on, but I'm
No,
just
no,
saying
no.
the
And,
same
and I
things
just
over and over.
no, no,
Yeah.
no. I'm with you. And you gave some wonderful examples. And I love when you talked about how, like you said, I can even find some, instances you said in their own Bible. And what came to mind, Dr. McIntosh, I was thinking about the book of Joshua. And I
Yes.
said, let me find it. So while you were talking, I was trying to find, I said, let me find it. And in the book of Joshua, and I remember this because I grew up in a Christian home. My mother,
Hmm.
everyone
Hmm.
knows I'm a PK.
Hmm.
So my mom's a preacher, pastor. And I grew up in a Christian home. So I know the Bible very well. And I do remember the book of Joshua and how when they were going into what they called the promised land, Joshua said, I didn't put my sword down, until every man and woman and child was killed. And so I found the verse that I was looking for is actually in the book of Joshua, chapter 6, verse 22 through 25. I'm
Okay.
sorry,
Okay.
21 through 25. And
Okay.
it says right here in family, I'll drop the link in the chat. It says right here, they killed everyone, men and women, young and old,
Mhm.
except everyone except Rahab and the others in her house. They killed every cow, sheep, and donkey. Joshua said to the two men who had been spies, Rahab kept you safe when I sent you to Jericho. We promised to protect her and her family, and we will keep that promise. Now go into her house and bring them out. And it says the two men went into Rahab's house and brought her out along with her father and mother, her brothers, and her other relatives. Rahab and her family had to stay in a place just outside of the Israelite army camp. But later, they were allowed to live among the Israelites, and her descendants still do. It says the Israelites took the silver and gold and the things made of bronze and iron and put them with the rest of the treasure that was kept at the Lord's house. Finally, they set fire to Jericho and everything in it. So when you say that you can, Doc, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. I'm
Okay, yeah,
hearing
yeah.
you very
So
well.
when
I'm
you
listening.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
so when you say that you can find this stuff in their own how, I mean, in their own holy book, right? In their own sacred text is
Right.
there, and it's a lot of that in the Old Testament, a lot of war, and they're going around and they're colonizing people's land, and they're kicking folks out, and they're saying the Lord promised me, this land, the Lord promised me this land. And so speaking of that, Dr. McIntosh, what would you say about, people think that the biblical Israel, right? Or the Israel that they talk about in the Bible is the same Israel that we're talking about over there, that Israel state. What are your thoughts about that, guy? Because that's what some
No,
folks really believe. They think that the biblical Israel is the same Israel state that we're talking about.
the closest thing to that in a way, well, I mean, when you're talking about a state, remember this was a state where God was telling them they were going to get this land, it was going to be there. So they were driven out of that. I mean, the people, uh, you know, I think that Kyrie probably got into trouble and even citing some of this history. But the bottom line is that um, they are not. Okay, so certainly they are not the pure ethnic people from that day, and the Hebrew Israelites will tell you, will have said that okay, but the point of the matter is that uh, a lot of history has passed since then. That country has gone through the hands of the Romans, uh, the Turks. Lots of people, have had that land since that time, and it's not the same country. This is a country that was made in a few different steps. So if we go, let's just go back to say 1893. In 1893, but not
Mm-hmm.
1893, 1897, there was a dude named Theodore Herzl, and he kind of brought together the thoughts, because even though there was this thought that the Jews need a homeland, and that the reason they were thinking that is because of the anti-Semitism, which is I'm using their word, but I'm saying the anti-Jewish sentiment that was all over Europe. I mean, that it sprung up during the Inquisition, during the 15th century, the 1490s, and that sort of thing, in all the different places in Italy and France and Portugal, in Spain, and so been driven out of many different places, so on and so forth. So a lot of people said we need a homeland. However, the majority of Jews never agreed with that until after the German Jewish Holocaust.
Mm.
But in 1897, they had the first of what was called the World Zionist Congresses, and this guy Herzl, he was down with that. They met. By the time they were meeting every year, then they decided we wouldn't meet for 2 years, and then after they did that break for the 2 years, that brings us to about 1903. In 1903, he brought what was called, and they call it the Uganda Project, because
Mm-mm.
basically the British was saying that they could have some of British East Africa. Check that out. British East
East
Africa is
Africa.
the okay.
Wow.
Yeah, right. So, but the land actually was located in what would now be Kenya, but they called it the Uganda Project, and it was brought and it was debated seriously as to whether or not this could be a homeland for the Jews. And then finally, in 1917, you heard of the Balfour
Balfour
Declaration.
Declaration,
The
absolutely.
British, who had control of that area, basically said that they were going to give them a homeland there. So now, then you had the closest thing, say, to that old Israel was when you had people, of all the different religions and stuff that lived there. But then, as more and more of the European people, the people they call the European Jews, they call Ashkenazis, the ones who are over in that area all the time, they call those Sephardic Jews. Okay, so
Mm.
when the Ashkenazis started to come in there, and this is actually even before the war, but it increased as Hitler came into power and things got hot in Germany and some of the other countries there. They
Mm.
started coming in large numbers, and then they began to have riots. The people who were there, they started having fights because the people, they were basically blaming them for owning more of the land than they should, population wise, buying it
Mm-mm.
from what they call absentee landlords and that sort of thing. And so uh, the British then try to put a stop on it, but it all came loose after after World War II, because many of them migrated there, and then ultimately they got there and they were so bad they didn't only fight uh, the Arab population, they fought the British. And
Mm.
yeah, they fought the British. Remember, I showed you slides before of Menachem Begin when he was a terrorist. They blew up hotels. They did all kinds of things. I have Menachem Begin's wanted poster. I showed it before when I was here. He was
Mm-mm.
wanted. He ends up. They end up giving him a Nobel Peace Prize. So you know what that prize means.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
but
Oh yeah.
but the bottom line is that they eventually took the land by force, that the British were driven out. And now then they went on what and what this was another good point that I thought that Marc Lamont Hill made, which is when he talked about the I think they call it the Nakba. And that's when they drove the Palestinians that were there, they just drove them out in the hundreds of thousands and killed in the thousands. Uh, and they basically said, this is ours, because originally the UN had voted that they were going to divide it, more or less equally. The Palestinians said it was never divided equally. Like the ones that got the arable land, that got the ports, the important ports to the, to the sea and that sort of thing, were the, were the Israelis, were these Ashkenazis. And in other ways that it wasn't the same, we had people who traced their Judaism thousands of years back. We talk, and they call them the strangers, the falasha. That's what falasha means. They were in Ethiopia, and when they first started trying to come to Israel, they faced racial discrimination. They weren't going to be accepted as Jews, and they had been Jews longer than the people who were telling them they weren't Jews. So
Mm.
so this is not the same. Well, let me say this. Some of the methods are the same. You cited you cited Joshua, right?
Yeah, that was Josh. Yep, Joshua chapter
What
6. Mm.
Deuteronomy tells them, Deuteronomy 20:16 says, only in the cities of these peoples that the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance, you should not leave alive anything that breathes. And he
Mm-hmm.
says, but you shall, and then in the next verse it said, but you shall utterly destroy them, Hittite and Amorite and Canaanite and the
Mm.
Perizzite, the Hivite and the Jebusite, as the Lord your God has commanded you. Now, the Canaanite, that's who was there originally,
Mm.
as original as we can go back. It was a bunch of city states and stuff that were there, and Canaan was one of those. And you see them going. Now, I won't blame them for the book of Samuel, because Samuel is not in their Torah. Samuel is in the Old Testament. In
Gotcha.
that, he says, now go and strike Amalek, what is it, Amalek, and utterly destroy all that he has, and do not spare him, but put to death both man and woman, child and infant, ox and sheep, camel and donkey. And then we have in Numbers, now, he talked about rape. Okay. Now, therefore, kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman that hath known man by lying with him. In other words, every woman that, wasn't a virgin. And he
Right.
says, but all the women children that have not known man by lying with him, keep alive for yourselves. And then you have in Leviticus, also the daughter of any priest, if she profanes herself by harlotry, she profanes her father, she shall be burned with fire. Because they talked about somebody that got burned, a woman that they saw in the car. They said, it says anyway. So my point is that even the Israel of the Bible, if you take if you take away the fact that they say God is telling them to do these things, these were some horrible things they were doing to people.
Absolutely.
All right. So, that's something that you have to deal with. I don't want to argue with anybody about their religion. In fact, I think that Malcolm X had the best sentence in the world when he said, you need to take your religion and leave it at home. We need to take he's talking about us as a people. And I think
Absolutely.
that it really applies to all people. Believe whatever you want, but don't use those things that are supposed to be spiritual to apply to other people who don't believe the same thing as you. These proselytizing religions, that want to make every knee bend and or every knee
Yep.
genuflect, every head
And every
bow and
tongue, and look at every tongue
every
shall
tongue confess,
confess. Right.
yeah,
Come on.
all that kind of stuff. It's not appropriate for a world in which people have nuclear power, and which people want, let people keep your religion at home. Don't go and try to impose it on other people. I thought
Absolutely.
Lamont Hill, when he said he was against the religious state, I think that's the better position, but I don't think it's a reasonable position because, as Francis Welsing pointed out in the ISIS papers, 94% of the people on this planet believe in God. So if 94% of them believe in God, there's a certain percentage of them that want to try to create a religious state. So you
Absolutely.
can have your religious state, but don't do your religious state and try to force other people to do your religious state. You know,
Absolutely.
all of it, and don't force the atheists or the secular state. Don't force anybody with those kinds of things because none of y'all were there. You don't know what happened. You have books that you say to, okay, you can believe that, but how are you going to make me believe it? How are you going to make me
Absolutely.
believe your book? You understand? So these are some things that that I think have something to do with some of the craziness in the area because you have several religious states, okay, and they don't believe the same thing. And the ironic thing about it is that their books profess a genetic and a biological relationship. The Muslims trace their lineage to uh, Ishmael, a son of Abraham, and they trace their lineage to Abraham, the son. So they're admitting that they're cousins.
Mm.
The Jewish people take the word anti-Semitic and apply it only to them, but the people they're talking about, those are Semitic people too.
Mm.
They're all Semitic people. Semitic refers, so it's strange and it's crazy. And I think that what it is, that's what they call I think they call it opium for the folks, or opium for the masses. This is what Marx called it. Like there's a group of people that they're able to manipulate with this religious stuff, right?
Mhm, mhm.
But the real villains in this are the people who are after the land, the resources, and the control. And that's what keeps these wars and stuff going. But they manipulate other people into fighting over these kinds of religious issues and this sort of thing when they don't care anything about those religious issues. It's just opium for the masses. It's stuff to keep them asleep as to what it is that they're doing. And that I think that really is at the root of a lot of the problem. And I mean, I can't say who, which people, but anybody who's feeling that way and thinking that way, it would be better when you're relating to other people. If you're in your mosque, or you're in your church, and you'll all have the same
That shit.
language and the same,
Right.
that's okay. That's
That's
cool.
right.
Okay, but don't bring it out into the rest of the world
Right.
because it causes this type of craziness. But I don't really
Absolutely.
think it really causes it. I just think that other people manipulate you with that. But what those people were interested in was not a religious mandate. Not that God told them. No, they wanted the more arable land. They wanted the best land. They wanted to escape the anti-Semitism that they were facing in Europe. And in Europe, a lot of the people who were for the Zionism and were not Jewish, they were anti-Jewish people. They were saying,
Mhm,
"Yo, we want you, get out of here." They were like
mhm,
Abraham Lincoln did to us. Abraham Lincoln wanted to send us to a place called Ile de Vache, the island of the cow in Haiti,
mm,
and tried it. He sent a bunch of people, sent a bunch of African people here from the United States to there, and unfortunately, the resources and stuff they weren't able to survive, so they had to be rescued.
mm.
And brought back. But his idea of what would create peace would be, hey, exile the black people
Right.
to another island.
Mm. So much information. So much information. And I also see some of my jegnas. I just want to take some time out to acknowledge some of my jegnas in the building. Peace to Baba Imhotep Fadiul. Peace to Baba Amin. I see you, Babas. I see my Babas and I see my jegnas in the building. Thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you to everyone under the sound of my voice for tuning in. You could have been anywhere this Tuesday night, but you're right here with Dr. Maat, right here with Dr. McIntosh, and right here with the Maatian family. So salute to everyone under the sound of my voice. Doc, would you say that this is a true statement that Zionism and white supremacy, racism and white supremacy are one and the same?
I would say that this is what I would say. I would say that until 1991, there were several General Assembly uh, several General Assembly resolutions that said that from the UN. They from the UN, they said Zionism is racism, you know. And
Woo.
yeah, yeah. I got the slides to show you that
I
too.
can't wait till you pull these slides up, Doc, because you keep saying I got the
Yeah, yeah.
slides. I
But
want to see these slides. Woo.
and Professor Clark more or less said that really that they have aligned themselves with Europeans in that particular dichotomy. When you're talking about white supremacy, Frances Welsing said, I mean, she said that, you know, Hitler didn't kill them because of their religion. He killed
Mm.
them because they weren't white enough. He said they weren't Aryans. And he had this
Mm.
idea of Aryans who were these blonde-haired, you know, perfect people, and they weren't. And she traced the word. She traced it to being half. You know, they were Semites. They weren't all. You follow? Now,
I
I'm not.
follow.
I can't vouch for anybody else's word derivations, but I tell you, it certainly makes a lot of sense. And in terms of I think it's just pure science when she says he didn't kill them because of their religion, because these people are all from the Abrahamic religions, all three of them, the Christians, the Jews, and the Muslims. They all are from the Abrahamic religions. Like I said before, they trace their lineage to Abraham. The Christians do it, you know, from Jesus on back, and you know, especially on the mother side, and the the uh the Muslims do it through Ishmael, and then the Jews do it through Jacob. I think it's through Jacob. Yeah, through the son of Abraham, Jacob. Yeah. So, you
Mhm.
know, it's a little crazy, but people are able to manipulate people with that stuff, and do these terrible things. And but white supremacy, I don't think that it's the same. I think it's a part of white supremacy. White supremacy is something, is a larger global system of which this is a part. Zionism is just like, say, one of the faces of white supremacy, but
Mhm.
it's not exactly the equal, because white supremacy is larger than that.
Okay.
You have white supremacy where you don't have any Jews. You know, you have white
Mm-mm.
supremacy. You know, you here in this country, of course, you know, it played a big role, but it wasn't even Zionism. There wasn't people who wanted to leave here. They didn't want to leave here. They were doing too well with the ships they had, and that sort of thing. Certainly the ones down in Suriname, Dutch Guiana, you know, they and Holland, they weren't trying to go to a home. They were in heaven already. They didn't need a
Mm.
homeland.
Mm, mm, mm.
They had those big ships making all that money, that, you know. So so yeah, no, I don't consider it exactly the equal, but I'll say that that it is a similar, you know, it's a part of that same system. It's a part of the apartheid, white supremacy type system. All of those are like different faces of the same thing,
Mm, absolutely.
which is weird, because Nazism is a part of that same thing. So you have Nazism and Zionism having, you know, at the end of the day, in terms of the outcome and the victims and that sort of thing, so many similarities.
Mhm, absolutely. And so Dr. McIntosh, we shout out to Minister Farrakhan, right? Minister Louis
Oh,
Farrakhan
yes,
in
yes.
the NOI. So we got word a few days ago that Minister Louis Farrakhan is suing the ADL for $5 billion. And so, I mean, this is circulating all over the internet, and you got some people are like, he ain't gonna get the 5 billion, and I said, shoot, I said, they talking about that's too high. And I said, well, shoot, that 5 billion is a drop in the bucket compared to
The
what
damage.
the damage that the ADL did to a lot of a lot of our black activists by labeling them, anti-Semitic. They destroyed lives. And when you were on the broadcast a few months back, we talked about Dr. Leonard Jeffries, right?
Absolutely.
Like his
Yeah.
whole, like they were attacking him. I think you said since the early '80s, and then I think he was fired. Wasn't he fired from his university at one point in time? And so I was like, when people were saying 5 billion was too much, I said 5 billion wasn't enough given the damage, the amount of damage that they did. So, Dr. McIntosh, when you heard that Minister Louis Farrakhan is suing the ADL for $5 billion, what were your thoughts?
Well, Minister Farrakhan's knowledge is above the ceiling of my knowledge. So I tried to figure out, well, why is he doing it? You know, you have a white legal system, you have white judges, you have, at the end of the day, the highest court in the land is white people and white proxies. So so I said, well, maybe that's not really the goal. Maybe he wants to share information, you know, with about what the kinds of things that they've done. Maybe he wants to maybe he wants to expose certain things and teach people, you know, basically what's going on, and to teach us you know, how to deal with it. I think that, you know, that sometimes you take a thing to court to make a point, but on the other hand, I don't know if he knows some way that he can get past this particular Supreme Court, this particular court's justice system or not. But if he can, that would be I think 5 billion is too little,
Yeah,
because they've done
same
more. They
here.
almost did that amount of damage to Kanye. You know what I mean? They got a big chunk of that 5 billion right there that
Come
doing
on.
damage to him. And you take all the people, you take Kyrie and all the other people that they've done this stuff to. Excuse me 1 second. Somebody's being persistent, so it may
I
be
see.
something
I
important
hear.
right
I
now.
hear. Yeah, I hear. And it could be an emergency, Doc. But go ahead, Doc. Let me take him off screen so he can handle that telephone call. Sounds like it's very urgent. But anyway, family, thumb up the video, family. Also, share this discussion. We're having a powerful discussion and really just giving a perspective, like a black perspective of the Israel-Hamas war, right? And so, what I love about this discussion, I'm learning a great deal of information from Dr. McIntosh, the history, right, between Israel and Palestine, or the Palestinians. So learning about that history, and and being able, and like conversations like this, family, it also helps you to combat the misinformation and disinformation that is circulating on the net. Let me bring you back in, Doc. You good to go?
I'm good to go. Yeah,
Okay, good. So what were you saying, Doc? I know you were kind of wrapping up. You lost your thought.
I
We were
did.
talking about Minister Farrakhan and
Yeah, I
him
think.
suing,
I mean,
and you were
it's
saying that
great.
you think that it may be more to, like, he may be trying to expose some things rather than really win this court case. It may be to bring some things out. Is that
Yeah,
what you? Yeah.
I would say that it may be that he could win. I don't know. I can't see it, but
I
I
couldn't see
do.
it either.
I'm sure that there's some purpose to it, and to draw attention to some particular thing, or to you know, basically take a position and to, you know, attack this particular problem that's going on with this war and that sort of thing. It's an interesting time that he brings it out. I think it may be more to reveal some information or expose some information, would be my thoughts, but that's just my thoughts, because I have no inside knowledge as to why he's doing the suit at this point.
Okay, yeah, because I was thinking it too, Doc. I was just like, what is the purpose? And then I was thinking about, his age. And I said, Minister Farrakhan is 90. Why now? Is it because this war is going? Like, I just had so many thoughts. Like you said, and my main thought was, or question was, why? Why now? But I'm happy. I'm happy that finally, the ADL is being held accountable for what they did, and I don't think that a lot of people understand how they weaponize that anti-Semitic label. They weaponized it, and they destroy a lot of lives. And so I'm just happy that now, yes, now they're in the media, right, for being sued, and now they get a taste of what they've been doing. And so, salute to Minister Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. Dr. McIntosh, can we see some of these slides that you mentioned?
I think we've covered almost everything in them, but I'm going to go through them real quickly if I
Okay, cool,
could.
cool,
I
cool,
got to
cool.
figure out how to do this. You know, I always have a trouble
No
with this.
problem, Doc. Yeah, no
Okay,
problem.
so do I click this present?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you see anything? Share screen.
There we go. You got to click share screen. And then you have a couple of options that pop up: Chrome tab, window, entire screen. I usually just choose
Just do
entire.
share screen. Share
Yeah,
screen.
I just click entire screen and then I click share.
Do you see my
Well,
little PowerPoint?
no, you got to
No.
select your screen. So
Okay. All right.
yeah,
Let's
so
try that
yeah,
again.
once you click entire screen, You click on your
Present.
screen, and then you'll see a blue button that says share. So we won't see anything until
Oh boy, I was born in the wrong age.
no, no, no. You good, Doc? What do you
I
see when you click
okay.
present? What do you see?
Okay. Here's present.
Then click
I
share
see blank.
screen.
Okay. Share screen.
Uh-huh. Once you share screen, what do you see?
Chrome tab.
Don't
Is
go to
that it?
Chrome tab.
Don't go
Go,
to Chrome
go,
tab.
go. Yeah,
Window.
go. No,
Entire
go.
screen.
There you go. That's what I was talking
Ah.
about.
Okay. There
Now
you
you're
go.
gonna select the screen that you're on. If you just have one screen, that's fine. Click that screen. When you click that screen in the bottom right hand corner, you'll see the blue share button.
I'm not seeing it. Do I have to put it in the slideshow mode in order to do it, or
No. Oh, when you click the entire screen, you didn't see anything.
no?
Okay, so let's try
Okay,
this
I see.
again.
I see my little screen. Ah, right here. I see this. Share.
Yeah.
Is that right? You see it now?
Exactly.
You
There
see
you
my
go.
slides? Okay,
That's what
good.
I was talking about. I don't
All
see the
right.
slides. I don't see the slides.
Okay.
There we go. Now we do see the slides. So
All right.
go
So
to the top right corner. Go to your top. No, 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 Doc. Look, I'm looking at
oh,
what you're doing. I
okay.
can see your
Okay.
screen. Go
All
to the
right.
top right corner where you see the box. Click that box. No, right inside of the PowerPoint, there's
Okay.
a dash and there's a box and there's an X. Go
Dash.
to the top
Okay.
right corner.
That
Click the
one.
box. There you
Okay.
go.
All
And when
right.
you click the box, now you want to go down. Go down. You're going to see where it says hide. Click hide, and now you're going to put it in show mode, or
Slideshow.
yeah, slideshow. There you
Slideshow.
go.
Okay. From the beginning.
There
All
you
right.
go. We good to go now, Doc.
All
Good to
right.
go.
So we talked about Mark Lamont Hill. I talked about some of the good points I thought he made. He talked about that Nakba where they drove the people out of their land. That would be in the late 40s. That's after the UN has given them the land, so on and so forth. They they weren't satisfied with just keeping a part of it. They drove out hundreds of thousands. It's been an apartheid state, he said, since 1948, and occupying state since 67. What he's talking about in 1967, they fought with several countries that kind of border on Israel, and then they took a bunch of land. Now they say we gave back the whole Sinai, you know, but it's like somebody takes somebody takes a bunch of your stuff and gives you back half. That doesn't count. And the way they've given it back, the people are not independent, that sort of thing. So anyway, taking land by force, what he pointed out, is a violation of international law, because they want to tell you that some of the tactics that are being used by this group, they say terrorists, but taking land by force is a violation of international law also. He says it's not a state of all its citizens. It's a Jewish state. There's 60 laws that show a difference on how people get treated in Israel. And he talked about the boycott, divestment, and sanction laws that leave people no option. So they can't demonstrate, they can't fly their flags, they can't come and go and say, what do you expect? And they don't have the resources that they need. Now, where does he come from? He comes from Obama. He was the director of the Office of Social Innovation, co-founded Ethos Brands, and he's on the board of Starbucks Foundation. Before, we talked about his salary, and as I told you before, we had looked at Anti-Defamation League. We said he was making 400,000, but there were a bunch of little spin-offs, each of them having, tens to hundreds of millions of dollars, and he makes a total of 1,250,000. So he's paid to say those things. You can't imagine a person that's getting paid $1,251,732 a year saying something against Israel when that's how he's paid. So he said he saw the things he talked about that he saw were the kind of things that the top people saw. We never saw these things. He saw those things very, very early, and he talked to his staff. And then I pointed out, how he had problems with Hamas's charter, but you look, Deuteronomy tells him to do the same things, and the same things to us right here. Here, he talks about Benny, yeah, this guy's name, I can't remember the second name. It's for Benny Gantz, I think it is. He says, I'm saying that to everyone, we will wipe this thing, Hamas, ISIS, Gaza, off the face of the earth. So he's talking that same biblical talk. Now, therefore, kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman that hath known, so on and so forth. Then Netanyahu, This evening, we've established a national emergency government. See, this has saved him. He was in a lot of trouble in Israel before this war started. Now all they're talking about is uniting. This is just to say that this is all conflict over land, resources, and sovereignty. It has nothing to do really with. I mean, I'm not talking about what people are saying. That stuff they're saying is all opiate for the masses. They're all Abrahamic religions, and they all are genetically related. Here we have this guy lobbies for Israel here, and he has offices. Is he a registered foreign agent, or is there a double standard? Here you have Chairman Omali Yeshitili, is in trouble, has been, has to face charges, framed up and trumped up charges for being unregistered agents of the Soviet Union. Now, this I think is important. There's a real game they're playing with this. Even though Jonathan is operating internationally, they have a bigger international thing, which is called the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, and they take their money. And according to the Guardian, they said their money is focused on blocking female candidates who, if anything, are likely to align themselves with the squad of progressive members of Congress who've been critical to Israel. They spun off a thing called the United Democracy Project. This is APEC. APEC founded this, or APEC gave them the most money, and the total they've raised for that last election in the 22 cycle was $35,943,281 they put into different campaigns. They spent $32 million on the different campaigns. But here's the game they play on us. They have another one, J Street. It has the same goals, to help secure the state of Israel as a democratic homeland for Jewish people. They fund the liberal candidates. So you got the APEC is funding the conservative candidates, and this is why, if you wonder, well, why does Biden represent their interests instead of our interests as much as Black people supported him? It's because they're playing both sides of the chessboard. So you got APEC and that other group, the name I forget, the United Democratic Project. They are funding the conservatives, and you have J Street funding the liberals.
Hmm.
We're just talking about the origins. I told you in 1903 that was the sixth um, Zionist Congress. He proposes this Uganda scheme. That's a picture of it. It's British East Africa. It really is land that would be physically located where Kenya is today. This is a letter to Lord Rothschild from Balfour, the Balfour Decree. Uh, but the thing about it is, although they maintain that it is for the biblical reasons, and they've tried to really put this Jewish state almost all over the globe in every different place. Down at the bottom here, we have 5 different places that were proposed as a Jewish homeland. The majorities of the Jews in the world opposed Zionism until the World War II Holocaust. I guess after that, you want to go anywhere. But some people still oppose it. This is a group in England that viciously oppose Zionism and support Palestinian sovereignty. The General Assembly, I told you, passed that Zionism is a form of racism and racial discrimination. This is in 1975. And they basically kept those resolutions going in the UN. Understand, they can never get a UN resolution because of to pass the Security Council, one negative vote from any of the 5 permanent members of the Security Council, which includes the United States, is never going to sign on. So they're able to veto it as a UN resolution. But these are some of the other international bodies that have said Zionism is equal to racism.
Mm.
All right.
Mm.
This is Lamont Hill referred to 18 different groups and so on and so forth. This is 18 prominent Jews. You can see them on the bottom of the screen here, that including what's this guy? Boy, trying to think of his name. Well, anyway, you can see the names all written there. I just can't think. Noam Chomsky, I was thinking of. But these are all people with organizations and that sort of thing that have that kind of had some criticisms of. All right, so terrorism. That's when they talk about who started what. I told you that the 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 Jews of Palestine, they began to fight the British, and one of them was Begin, Menachem Begin. He won the Nobel Prize, but at the time of during those days, he was a terrorist. He ordered the bombing of the King David Hotel, and this is his picture on a wanted poster. That's his picture from there.
Mm.
Uh, let's see. Oh, okay. This is they keep calling black people anti-Semitic, but this article is pointing out that large numbers of black people voted for Ed Koch and these other people. How are they anti-Semitic? They keep voting for these candidates. This is a guy named Lenny Brenner who basically was confronting the ADL with its non-role during slavery. Basically, ADL was a spinoff and a part of B'nai B'rith. Okay, so I told you before how they were formed to protect this guy who had been accused of child molestation.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is that as a national organization, B'nai B'rith didn't want to say anything about slavery because they had prominent members in the South that were growing rich by slavery, and others in the North that were growing rich by it. And so they weren't about to say anything about it. But they present themselves, the ADL presents itself as this group that cares about everybody, but it's not. This is some more of the biblical stuff. This is a guy who he actually killed his daughter because God told him to. And
Mm.
this is Baruch Koppel Goldstein, the guy that I told you. Uh, uh, he was born in Brooklyn. He was a Brooklyn-born guy, but he went over there and shot up a mosque. And he's hailed as he's following this stuff that the Bible tells him to do. Why is this lady smiling, do you think?
Hmm.
She's there at the shrine of Baruch Goldstein. That's her right there. I don't know if you could see my finger,
Yeah, I see
but
her. I
that's her.
see it.
Yeah,
I see it, Doc.
that's
I
her
see
right
her.
there.
Hmm.
Okay. And I remember I told you they sing. They go there. Hundreds of Israelis travel to Goldstein's grave to celebrate Goldstein's actions. They say he gave his life for his people. They sing songs. They sometimes dress their kids up like him. And they have the lyrics of some of the songs. Dr. Goldstein, there is none other like you in the world. Dr. Goldstein, we all love you. He aimed at terrorists' heads, squeezed the trigger hard, and shot bullets and shot and shot and shot. This is what you teach young kids. And remember, he was talking about the kids in Gaza being brainwashed. What do you call this?
Right. Right.
And of course, Perrin made the statement that I told you, Rabbi Yaakov Perrin. They had lots of people that paid homage to him when he died, and because he was beaten to death by the people. He killed a couple of hundred people, but the others there did have the good sense to kill him.
Mm-mm.
So now remember how Lamont said that this thing that happened was unprecedented.
I think. I
These are
think that did
just
Lamont say that, or did Greenblatt say that?
both of them, but Lamont, he said it was the worst act of terrorism since the Holocaust, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And most Jews have been killed. But Lamont Hill, when he talked about it, he used the word unprecedented. He said, he told it was terrible, it was unprecedented. He was doing the disclaimers that he had to do right at the beginning. We understand that. But these are some of the wars in Africa. Look at the first Congo War killed between 250 to 800,000 people. The Ethiopian Civil War, 500,000 to 15. And none of these things make a blip on the oscilloscope in the United States. They don't even, our people right now, I'm sure there are black people crying over what's happening, what happened to those 1,000 people. And I don't fault them for that, but they should cry an incremental number of times when 5 million people are killed. And this is the Lord's resistance army. These are people that want to bring back, they want people to live like the Bible. See, that's that stuff I'm talking about. And they've
Mm.
killed 100,000. And you can find passages in the Bible where it's telling them you should cut off their nose and cut off and all that type of stuff. And they actually did those kinds of things. And so these are just all of these are just wars. It's just more of same, you know. Uh these are all of these states. See, look at the color code. This is just telling you the years that they passed the anti-BDS laws. The only ones where they haven't been passed and it's pending, that's in Utah. But everybody else has these anti-boycott, divest, or sanction laws for. Now, talking about conflict, this was a UN study, and it looked at 15. Let's see, was it a UN study? They looked at uh 15. Look, we not only do we have people dying, we got 15,500 conflicts in just 34 of Africa's 54 nations. You realize how many conflicts that is? Those are
Mm-hmm.
wars. All right. And 5 million children were killed between 1995 and 2015. Now, remember, this was the cover of a magazine about Cosby, because these 40 women, and of course, victims of but look at the numbers. The Journal of the American Medical Association in 210 cites that 23.6% of the men in the eastern region of the country have been exposed to sexual violence. And a similar study, also conducted in 2010, found that 22% of the men, as compared to 30% of the women in eastern Congo, reported conflict-related sexual violence. They talk about the Holocaust, and more or less as though it's only it was only Jews. This is the beginning of the German Holocaust. I don't want to go through the whole thing. If you want to, but there's a book right here. It's called Germany's Black Holocaust. You see these people here in Namibia. Namibia is what they call Southwest Africa, and that was one of the German protectorate, or one of basically a colony. And these are people who were in those concentration camps there in Germany, which preceded the concentration camps. And there's a direct car will show you the direct relationship between what happened here and what happened in Nazi Germany. And these are some of the people, some of their first person comments about what happened with that. So that's my, those are my slides. Uh,
Mm.
Fire! Fire! Fire!
Screen. Go to the bottom. Your mouse is at the top. Go to the bottom and look for stop screen. You see it says
Okay.
stop. No, go to the left. Doc, I'm looking at your screen.
Uh,
Go. You see
I'm
where it
in the.
says stop?
I feel
Right
like I'm
there.
in the
Doc,
special
stop,
test.
stop, 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 stop. Move over,
Stop.
move over,
Stop
move
camp.
over.
No, no,
Keep
no.
going
Stop camp.
over. It says stop
Stop the
screen.
camera.
No, you just stopped
I
your
see it.
video. There
Okay.
you go.
All
There
right.
you go. So
I
Doc,
got Zoom down, but I don't have this one.
no, it's all good. It's all good. But Doc, thank you so much for coming on. That was a powerful, first of all, it was a powerful discussion. And like with you, I could talk to you for hours. Like even when we talk on the
Praise
telephone,
the
I
dude.
call you up, Doc, da, 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 and I get all excited and I tell you everything that's going on. But I love to pick your brain about things. You're a wealth of knowledge, you're a wealth of information. And so I love talking to you. I love listening to your platform, Doc, and just jumping on your Zooms and Doc, because I'm always learning from you, and I appreciate that. I'm always learning from you. And so thank you for that. Thank you for the presentations. I'm actually going to, once this broadcast is over, I'm going back through and just listen to you and read your slides, pause it, and actually read through and just re-listen to the information that you presented. But Doc, do you have any closing words for the listening audience?
Yes, that they can come and see you and Professor Tony Browder
Oh, let
at
me pull up the
CEMOTAP's
flyer.
annual. I have it here. So I try to see. There's too much me trying to share it, right?
I'm gonna share it. I'll share it. Keep talking, Doc. I'll share it.
Okay, I'm gonna master this thing.
No problem.
Okay,
Here it goes. I have it right here.
okay. I'm gonna put this up.
Let me
That's not
see.
it. Nope. There it is. Okay. Oh, here. Oh, I see it on my screen, but do you see that?
I see it on mine, but go ahead, Doc. Keep talking
Okay,
about it.
good. Yours is fine. Yours is fine. Oh, you have the red. I would like the black and white one because it has a couple of other entries
Oh,
on it.
okay.
And in
Okay.
fact, there was some. Let's see. Do you have that one?
Yes, I'm looking for it right now.
Okay. Oh,
And
I have a new black and white one. No, here it is. I have it right here. So you just walk me through putting it on the screen again. That's all.
I have it. I have it right here. It's up right now.
Okay. Is girl spelled GIRLZ?
It says calling all Africans. It's your table, SEMO Tab 36 annual luncheon, dancing,
Yes.
speaking, and live band. Yep. The RBG
Oh,
girls. Yep.
okay. Okay. There's three things on here that I had to correct. Brother D doesn't put his name DEE. It's just D. RBG girls is GIRLZ. And I think that's just about everything. But everything else on here is correct. And certainly the date, the time, and place is all correct. This is CMOTAP's annual. CMOTAP is the Committee to Eliminate Media Offensive to African People. We've been in existence since 1987. We never charge for our programs. We have an annual luncheon. We have dancing, speakers, live band. If you never heard Brother D Nubion's "How You Gonna Make the Black Nation Rise," it's old school hip hop that that teaches seriously.
Ashe.
And RBG girls are his granddaughters, and
Love it.
his daughter and his granddaughters, and they all do it. And of course, we know our brother Tony Browder, and of course Dr. Oya Ajwa Ma'at, and it's going to be good because there's the relationship between, just like Brother D is there with his granddaughters. You know, we have Brother Anthony Browder there with one of his spiritual and intellectual daughters, which is Dr. Oya Ajwa Ma'at. And
Ashe. Ashe.
and so it's free. And what we do is we feed you, we edutain you. In other words, education and entertainment. And at the end, we ask you to donate on the basis of the kind of time that you had, and it's all voluntary. And we've never lost money. We've always trusted in African people, and African people have
Ashe.
never disappointed us. So we hope you'll will make it. You'll see Sister Betty Dobson, who now lives in Ohio, but she's there. This is one of the founders of the organization.
Beautiful.
And lots of people, you know, I'm sure Dr. Jeffries and Dr. Rosalind Jeffries will be there. And, you know, a lot of the community from New York will be there. I know the people from NACA will be there. So it's a great, great event. And you know, we know you're going to help make it great, Dr. Maat. We're looking forward to it, and we're looking forward to you and our brother Tony Browder together on the same program. It's from 12 noon to 4 p.m. Uh, if anybody needs to contact me to get the information, or you can contact Dr. Maat. She has it. It's just put Dr. Cemotap, DrCemotap at
Mhm.
gmail.com. Dr. Cemotap at gmail.com.
You put it in the chat and then also put it on the screen, Dr. McIntosh. All right, here we go. Dr. Cemotap at gmail.com. All right, family. So you heard it. You heard it, family. Make sure that you are in the building for the CMOTAP 36th annual luncheon. And I'm just honored to be, sharing a platform with Professor Anthony Browder. He's my Jegna. He's the one that actually, I always tell him all the time, he woke me up. He woke me up when I was like 15, 16 with his book, I call it my sacred manuscript, from the Browder file. I read that when I was about 15 years old, roughly about 15, 16 years old. And I never stopped. After that, he really put me on this path. And he's touched a lot of people. And I had the honor of traveling to Kemet with him December of 2021. My son and I, Harvey, we went to Kemet with him. And so again, this is like coming full circle, right? To now be on a platform with him and him seeing my journey. I'm going to talk about my journey and how he was he's a very, very vital piece, a vital part of my journey. And so I give thanks for the work of Anthony T. Browder, and I give thanks for you, Dr. McIntosh, for saying, like, come on this platform. Come on, we're going to invite you up, and we're going to put you on the platform with one of your Jegnas, and this was the Jegna that woke me up and started me on this path. So I give thanks to the ancestors, to the creator and ancestors, for you, Dr. McIntosh, and also for Professor Anthony T. Browder. And I'm looking forward to it. So family, if you're in the DMV area, Philly, Delaware, New York, make sure that you're in the building, family. Be in the building. I don't care where you are. If you want to get a ticket and fly out, family. Be in the building. I will be there. Professor Anthony Browder will be there. You heard what he said. Dr. Leonard Jeffries, his wife. Oh, I'm having a brain freeze, Dr. McIntosh. His wife.
Right,
Yes,
Dr.
Dr. Rosalind. Dr. Rosalind Jeffries. She's going to be in the building. There's so many others. We'll be there. So family, hopefully I'll see you there. Make sure that you're in the building. And for more information, please do not hesitate to email Dr. McIntosh at drcemotap at gmail.com. I dropped the link in the chat, and I also dropped the email address. You see it on the screen. It's also in the chat, family. All right. And before you get out of here, family, make sure you thumb up the daggone video. Thumb it up, thumb it up, thumb it up. Also, share it on your social media platforms. And also, family, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, be sure to head on over to dr.maat on YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so that whenever I go live, you will be notified. Dr. McIntosh, I got to drop another bomb for you.
Fire! 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 Fire!
And Doc, you know I'll be in touch with you soon. We text each other anyway, so you know I'll be in touch with you soon again and again. And thank you again, Doc, from the bottom of my heart for coming to be with us tonight. Peace and power to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Same to you, sis.
Peace and power. All right, family. How did you like that? How did you like that, family? Hold on. I got to play my outro music. Let me play my outro music and then talk to you. I'm going to talk black to you while I play my outro music. Shoo. Goodness. Oh my goodness, family. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you all. You could have been anywhere. You could have been anywhere, family, tonight, but you was right here with your sister, Dr.maat. I appreciate you tuning in. Before you leave, family, make sure that you thumb up the video. Thumb it up, family. Also share it if you're on Facebook. Post the link. If you're on Twitter, tweet the link. If you're on IG, share the link. Also, family, subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so that whenever I go live, you will be notified, family. You hear this war. Y'all, what y'all know about this Bob Marley? Huh? Talk black to me. How did you enjoy this, family, tonight? Huh? Talk black to me, family. How did you enjoy this discussion tonight? I'll be in my bed listening to it again. It was fire, family. Fire. Brother Bruce Lee said, best show on earth, Ashe. Peace and love to you, Brother Bruce Lee. I see Calvin Bennett. He said, great information. Peace and love to you, Baba. Thank you so much for tuning in. I see Sister Tiffany. She said it was fire. Peace and love to you, beloved. Brother Bruce Lee said, powerful discussion. Tell me how you feel. Talk black to me, family. What did you think about this discussion? We're going to be having plenty more. I'm going to bring somebody on to break down, the history of Egypt, the biblical history of Egypt. We're going to talk about that, man. I'm telling y'all, it's a true statement when they say the God of a people embodies the spirit of those people. And when you read about the God of the Bible, and you look at that spirit, you see the people that wrote it got the same spirit. Huh? I see JK Engineering and Architecture said, until the philosophy, that all one race, period, and another inferior war. Facts. Peace and love. I see you, Jesse Johnson, 86 from the UK. Peace to my brothers in the UK. And I also saw some people watching on from Jamaica. Shout out to my Jamaican brothers and sisters. Shout out to my UK brothers and sisters. Who else in the building, family? Who else in the building, family? Majesty Tech TX says in the pocket. I see you, Dr. Craig Samuels. Peace and love to you, beloved. He said it was profound. Peace and love. Jesse Jackson said, would love for you to come over to the UK and educate us. Just let me know when, family. Let me know when, family. Brother Jesse, just let me know. Email me at dr.maat.msu@gmail.com. I'll come wherever my people are. Ashe. Peace and love to Bruce Lee. I see he's in Florida. Got brothers and sisters in Florida. Jimmy Rucker said, talk black to me. Got me thinking of Sister Vicky Dillon. Great show. Now I got that man from Dr. You got Minister Farrakhan, my Baba, my Jegna, Baba Amin. He says it. They say, oh, to have a black-tastic day. Talk black to me. So I'm thinking about Baba Amin when I say stuff out my mouth like that. But peace and love to you, Jimmy. All right, family, I'm getting ready to get up out of here. Hopefully I'll be live again at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. Okay? So if you don't, hopefully I am. I may or may not. But just make sure that you hit the notification bell so that if I do go live on Thursday, you will receive a notification, family. All right. Peace and love to you, family. Much love. Much love. Ma'at Hotep. Uhuru. Sasa. Freedom now, family. Abibi Fahodi, African liberation. Abibi to me. Black power.